Hello, and welcome to the return of Darkmount Reviews! So, my original plan was to take a bit of a break between my review of Octane and my review of Galvatron here. Yeah, well, that little break turned into a pretty decent amount of time, because at the tail end of the waiting period, I guess I should say, the period of time I was giving this figure to kind of settle, I came home and found that my basement had flooded, and because of that, a whole bunch of repairs and stuff had to be done, and several different contractor teams had to come out and fix the paint and the carpet and all this stuff. So I did not have access to my office/collection room/review space that I'm in right now for a pretty substantial amount of time. I originally wanted to take a break just to give this figure some time because so many people complain about it and say that it's terrible, and I really wanted to take some time to get used to the figure and familiarize myself with it before I came back and said whether or not I really do like it or not. Yeah, so good thing I got to paint my walls purple, which is pretty cool. So I have like a nice Decepticon layer now, which I'm pretty excited about. This is my review space for anyone who's ever been curious about that. So I got my masterpieces back in place. I added a second black shelf down there so I could split up my CHUGs so they weren't quite so congested on the shelves. So I have Autobots, Decepticons, and then all my combiners. I'm finally able to actually display my Movieverse figures. And I have the entire first wave of Transformers 4 figures to review for you guys. And my Prime guys, that all of the stuff you've already seen in my other video. And I have all my Beast guys on their own shelf again. So, yep, stuff is getting back to normal. Except for the fact that my video is blue. It's very sad video. It's so sad. But, yeah, we can actually get back to the reviews and stuff now. So, on with Galvatron. In his vehicle mode, Galvatron is a pretty nifty looking tank. Gotta admit, it's, at least in my opinion, one of the more solid tank transformers. There aren't any obvious gaps or holes or anything really. The turret is pretty well formed. It can rotate all the way around. And it has a firing missile, which is surprisingly powerful. This mold was originally developed for the Universe line, and then it was repainted in the Henkei line. And this is now the, obviously the third part and the final part of the Decepticon Henkei 3-pack that I have reviewed. So he's got a nifty new metallic metal paint scheme, which looks pretty good here, and looks really good in his robot mode. It's a nice Decepticon logo there. For size comparison, he is about the size of the new generation's Bumblebee. Obviously the barrel of the tank sticks out a little farther, but in terms of the actual vehicle, they're around the same. However, he is a little bit taller. There is no real articulation or anything to speak of, but you can kind of position this little missile battery as you see fit. For transformation, I want to start off by popping this entire turret off. It is on a hinge as well as a swivel. And then come around here and pull back lightly on these, and they will separate from these side panels, which you can then swing out to the sides. don't try to force them past this point yet. They will break if you do. Do the same thing. Whoops. We could pull it off the ball joint, I guess. That works. It's not even a ball joint. I've never done that before. Right. You can swing that out to the side. And then untab these side bits here. They're tabbed into the side of this middle section, which you can fold up just to get it out of your way. And then fold the legs straight down. And spin the waist. Like that. Then what you want to do is take the entire bottom portion of the leg right here and push it that way on a sliding joint, which will let you fold that down the rest of the way. You can then rotate this bit down, and that becomes the foot. You can then rotate the entire leg to have the leg detailing all facing forward, like so. That appears to be a piece of plastic. I'm not sure where that came from. Hopefully nowhere important. That is worrisome. Do all the same stuff on the other leg. Now we come to a part that I am not super fond of myself, which would be separating these two sides from this middle section. Well, first what you're going to do is separate the back. You're going to want to push this way a little bit, because once you get it free, you can see the tab there is a bit of a hook, so it kind of hooks around this section. Once you have that free, you're going to want to loosely fire off the missile. Loosely pull these two sides until you can pop this gun out, and that is on a separate bar, and you can swivel that around to face the other direction, which is a little tricky but not that bad. And then you want to push the two arm halves closed again all the way, so they form a thinner piece like that. Then what you want to do is fold this arm down and around. And these big backpack things get in the way a lot, so yeah, not much to be done about that. You can fold this turret arm around, which will let you fold the backpack around. Fold that in as much as you can. Fold this down. Use it as a lever to pop the head up. And then fold the chest down like that. And then straighten this out and fold it into the arm, which will pop the hand out. You can swivel that around and straighten his arm out. Straighten this arm out. And pop his shoulder bit back on. I am forcing all kinds of things tonight. It's great. I will say, This is definitely a pretty fiddly figure. I don't think it's bad necessarily, but there is a lot of very fiddly stuff going on. Fold this back like that, and then you are supposed to be able to tab these two back pieces there and there into these two square pegs. However, that one will stay. This one does not peg in at all. It just like doesn't match up or something. I don't even know. No clue. But either way, unless you're jiggling it around, at least on mine, it stays in place for the most part. This little tail bit, you can kind of do whatever you want with. It's pretty much just going to hang down though. You can try to fold it up like that, but it doesn't necessarily make it look any better. And there you have Galvatron in his robot mode. I will say this. I don't dislike this figure. It's a nice display piece, especially with the new paint job that he got, which is showing up really blue. For some reason, my white balance on this camera is kind of being really funky. So, actually, wait a second. I'll be right back. Yeah, unfortunately, his particular shade of purple just does not want to show up. No, I don't know. He's not as blue as it looks in this video, trust me. So, I understand why people dislike this figure. He's pretty fiddly. He's not super easy to balance in terms of getting him to stand. He's got a pretty substantial backpack and this butt flap. This whole area with his arm and this thing is just obnoxious. Transforming it back and forth is annoying. You always feel like you're going to break it. At least I do. And I don't generally feel like that with figures. There's just too many moving parts and you can't even see half of them because they're concealed by junk. All that said, I still like this figure. Especially since I got it in a 3-pack with 2 other figures that I really wanted, and it was cheaper than it would have been buying it alone, and it has a nifty new paint job. It seems like a triple win to me. Whether or not I would say go out of your way to pick this up as a standalone figure, only if you really want a Galvatron and you're a super completionist. If you really just need a Galvatron, I would probably sooner say look into the third-party Mania King, because he's just kind of a better Galvatron figure overall, and he's got a G1 alt mode. He's a little bigger, but obviously he's a third-party figure, so he will probably run you a decent amount of money. Although, if you're going for one of the original versions of this mold, I'm not sure how much those run, because I don't own them. But, yeah, he's a good figure. He's not an excellent figure, but he's also not one of the worst figures I've ever seen. He needs more heel support. Shouldn't have to lean him forward so far to make him balance. These little backpack things are just kind of annoying. They should have spun around and pegged into each other or something. I mean, that at least would have been better. I don't know. They could have figured something out. He also has this really weird third thing where he has these little feet that kind of pull out of there, and apparently it's for some artillery mode that he was originally supposed to have that like got aborted or something, or maybe he does technically still have it, but I don't know. It's not displayed anywhere in the instructions, and that's really literally the only part that seems to do anything to serve that mode, so I kind of just ignore them and leave them back there. Although I guess if you really wanted to, you could like use them as decoration in his bot mode or something. I have no clue. For articulation, he has a ball joint on the shoulder, which gives you a decent range of motion. Although the little shoulder bit here will pop up if you smash it out too much, but yeah. He has a double jointed elbow, although the top joint is pretty tight. And he also has a swivel above the elbow, and no wrist articulation on this. And his hand is also molded closed on this arm. This arm, you have full rotation. You also have the bevy of weird sliding joints here. He has a swivel, a pin elbow, and then, I mean, I guess you can call this articulation, but it's for transformation. And then this can kind of swivel around, but it smashes into a bunch of junk. And his head can rotate. He has inward and outward movement on the hips, swivel back and forth, but you don't get much movement forward because it smashes into this cod piece. And you have rotation up there, bendy joint there, rotation there, and then a very, very limited ball joint on this foot, and then a swivel up and down for the whole foot. And I guess if you want to call this heel articulation. And that's about it. I mean, like I said, he's not a fantastic figure, but he's decently posable, and he's got a decent amount of articulation. It's more whether or not you'll be able to get him to balance in any of the poses you put him in that would be an issue. Like I said, you have to lean him forward pretty far. For a size comparison, here he is next to Octane. And just to mention, as a commenter brought up, I did completely neglect and forget to extend his legs in the review. So if you watched that and you were wondering why he looked so stubby, I just like forgot a step for some reason. Sorry. I have no excuse for that, no clue. So these guys look really good together. I'm definitely a fan of this 3-pack. I think it was a great bang for the buck. All three of them with the new paint schemes look really awesome. I like purple things and purple figures and Decepticons, so they're kind of triple win there. Like I said, this guy was also not as bad as I was expecting. He's not the best figure. I totally see why people complain about him, but he's not anywhere near as terrible and worthless as everyone makes him out to be. He's a decent figure, and if you're looking for an affordable Galvatron that's not in the third-party scheme, well, he's pretty much your only bet, because it's the G1 mold, this mold, and like some other stupid molds that no one cares about. So we're stuck with this until they get a new one, and to be perfectly honest, we're really not that bad off. He's a decent figure. Do I recommend him? I recommend this 3-pack as a whole. I don't know if I necessarily recommend this figure unless you really want a Galvatron or you really like the mold. I would definitely put this on your research list and watch a decent amount of reviews and find it cheap. I wouldn't spend a whole ton of money on this thing. But I also wouldn't say avoid it either. So take that for what it's worth. I will be back. I probably won't be doing a Leo Dux review, since Talon will be out relatively soon, so I'll probably review those two at once or do a giant combiner review or something. I have the entire Transformers 4 Age of Extinction Wave 1 line to review. I also have Airburst, the first Warbitron figure, to review. I have the Legends, Cosmos, and Swerve. I'm going to have the Japanese Transformers 4 Dispenser, as well as Tailgate and Scrapnel coming in the mail, and Goldfire Bumblebee, maybe. That's a mold everyone's seen to death at this point, so I might not do a review for that unless lots of people want it. So I guess if you guys feel strongly about seeing a Goldfire review from me, let me know. Otherwise, I probably won't be doing that, and I will see you guys later for... I don't know. It'll be a surprise. So thank you guys for waiting. Sorry about the long pause in video releases. I should be back on a normal schedule at this point. And thank you for watching.